Hello, I'm Raymond Goen. This is Nightline, and here's news making the headlines. Dato Sri Najib's 1MDB trial over missing billions begins. Prime Minister orders immediate probe into KLIA systems malfunction. And Boris Johnson asks Queen to suspend UK Parliament as Brexit date looms. Good morning. The Prime Minister said on Wednesday Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad MAHB must investigate the actual cause of the recent systems malfunction at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the systems failure at the airport should not have occurred.
System breakdown. Ya, kita kena selidik kenapa dia breakdown. Sepatutnya tidak breakdown. Sistem yang sama digunakan di lapangan terbang yang lain. Mereka tidak mengalami masalah macam kita alami dan kita perlu tentukan kenapa dia berlaku.
He was speaking to Malaysian journalists after concluding his three-day official visit to Vietnam. Tun Dr. Mahathir said KLIA is recovering from the breakdown, but the airport is not operating smoothly yet. A systems breakdown last Wednesday resulted in flight delays and cancellations and long queues at check-in counters as airport staff reverted to manual operations. The government has the budget for the free breakfast program to be implemented next year. According to Tun Dr. Mahathir, consolidated funds from various ministries and agencies can be used to implement a program that will benefit pupils in government and government-aided primary schools.
Sudah tentu kalau ada keperluan peruntukan tambahan kepada mana-mana kementerian, mereka beritahu dan kita akan timbang. Kalau kita mampu, kita akan bagi.
Last Monday, Education Minister Dr. Mazli Malik announced that about 2.7 million pupils in government and government-aided primary schools will receive free healthy breakfast from the 2020 school session. It was reported that the government will have to spend between 2 billion and 3 billion ringgit annually on the program, depending on the menu. Speaking on another matter, the Prime Minister said that his wife, Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali, has recovered from mild food poisoning. The Prime Minister also noted that she is resting in a hospital in Kuala Lumpur.
Dia ada pulih. Dia pulih boleh. Tapi dia ada hospital lagi. Dia balik ni saya pergi hospital. Yalah. 60 tahun kahwin. Orang lain kahwin berapa tahun. Buat belanja kenduri besar-besar, panggil semua orang, 2 tahun cerai.
On Monday, the Prime Minister's office issued a statement saying that Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah has gone to the hospital after a bout of mild food poisoning. Earlier, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad paid a courtesy call on the President of Vietnam, Nguyen Phu Trong, in Hanoi. He arrived at the headquarters of the Communist Party of Vietnam Wednesday morning and met with Trong for about 25 minutes. The Prime Minister was accompanied by Foreign Minister Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah and the Malaysian Ambassador to Vietnam, Datuk Sharifah Nur Hana Said Mustafa. Trong is the Secretary-General of the Communist Party of Vietnam. It was the first meeting between Trong and Tun Dr. Mahathir since the latter became the 7th Prime Minister last year. Tun Dr. Mahathir later visited the headquarters of FPT Software, a global IT services and outsourcing company in the Hoa Lac high-tech zone. He also delivered a speech to FPT university students about Malaysia's preparation towards Industrial Revolution 4.0 and later test drove Vietnam's sports utility vehicle SUV VinFast. Before ending his trip, Tun Dr. Mahathir also visited the Noi Bai industrial zone, in which he performed the groundbreaking ceremony for the first and the biggest industrial zone project in Vietnam in 1996. Tun is now the choice of 46 investors all around the world, including 4 Malaysian companies.
Terutama pada kali pertama, pada masa itu Vietnam jauh ketinggalan di belakang berbanding dengan Malaysia. Tak ada kereta pun, semua naik basikal saja. Tetapi hari ini kita dapat lihat bagaimana Hanoi umpamanya sudah berkembang maju dengan banyak industri, banyak perniagaan, dan mereka dalam jangka masa yang pendek telah dapat mewujudkan billionaire yang boleh buat invest sendiri, buat kereta, tak payah tanya kerjaan, tak payah minta kerjaan.
Vietnam is an important economic partner to Malaysia. Last year, the value of Malaysia-Vietnam trade stood at 55.7 billion ringgit. The One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB trial of Dato Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak kicked off on Wednesday at the Kuala Lumpur High Court, with the prosecution stressing that the former Prime Minister had abused his power to cover up the theft of hundreds of millions of dollars from the state fund and used the fund for self-gratification. Senior Deputy Public Prosecutor DPP Dato Sri Gopal Sriram said Dato Sri Najib used his position to evade justice, especially after news of the scandal broke in July 2015. On the first day of the hearing, which commenced at 9:34 a.m., it saw 4 witnesses called to the stand. In his opening statement, Dato Sri Gopal told the court, presided by Judge Colin Lawrence Sekera, that Dato Sri Najib had interfered with the course of investigation of the case. The senior DPP pointed out that the Pekan Member of Parliament also took active steps to effect a cover-up of his criminal acts. 2 of the 3 prosecution witnesses who testified on Wednesday were from the Prime Minister's office, Senior Division Secretary Dato Farizah Ahmad and Finance Department Accountant P. Natasha Rahima Haryati Muhammad. The third was Administrative Officer Farah Nurdiana Azhar for the Parliamentary Affairs Department. And the last was the former Director of Ops Solution Syndrome Berhad, Norhaina Hirawani Muhammad Noor. Dato Sri Najib will return to the dock Thursday morning after Wednesday's hearing ended at 1:45 p.m. The prosecution is expected to call up 2 more witnesses. The former Prime Minister is facing 4 counts of alleged abuse of power under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2009 in relation to the alleged misappropriation of 2.3 billion ringgit. He has been charged with 21 money laundering charges, including having dealt with illicit funds or monies that are proceeds from unlawful activities. It is Dato Sri Najib's second hearing after the prosecution in the SRC trial wrapped up its case on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Wednesday set 4 days from October 21st to hear a suit by Global Royalty Trading SAL against Dato Sri Rosmah Mansor to seek her return of 44 pieces of jewellery sent to her for selection, or for her to pay the price of all the items amounting to almost 60 million ringgit. The court also fixed September 17th for case management for applications filed by Global Royalty as the plaintiff and the former Prime Minister's wife as the defendant. Last February 14th, the High Court ordered Datin Sri Rosmah to check and confirm in 7 days the existence of the 44 pieces of jewellery that were in her possession before the seizure by police. Global Royalty is seeking the court's declaration that the firm is the owner of the 44 pieces of jewellery and that ownership of the jewellery was not transferred to the defendant. It is also seeking a mandatory order for Datin Sri Rosmah to provide a list of the jewellery seized for these to be returned, or for Datin Sri Rosmah to pay the price of the jewellery at 59.83 million ringgit. The Kuala Lumpur High Court on Wednesday dismissed an application by the prosecution to review the Sessions Court's decision to allow the transfer of Dato Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's 7 corruption charges to the Shah Alam Sessions Court in Selangor. High Court Judge Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali, in his judgment, said that he found no error in the decision made by the Sessions Court. On July 31st, Sessions Court Judge Azman Ahmad allowed the former Deputy Prime Minister's application to transfer the 7 charges, which were originally slated to be heard in the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court, to be heard together with the other 33 charges that he was facing at the Shah Alam Sessions Court. On June 26, the Bagan Datuk Member of Parliament was charged under the MACC Act 2009 for allegedly receiving a total of 12.85 million ringgit from Ultra Kirana to extend the company's contract as the one-stop center in China for the overseas visa system between 2017 and 2018. The offences carry a maximum jail term of 20 years and fine of 10,000 ringgit or 5 times the amount of the bribe, whichever is higher upon conviction. He also faces 33 charges of corruption, totaling 42.76 million ringgit involving similar offences. The founder of Big Blue Capital Malaysia, Sendirian Berhad, has publicly apologized for his controversial statement against Indonesia's online motorcycle e-hailing service, Gojek. This after his remarks sparked outrage and threats of protests for allegedly insulting people in the Republic. Datuk Syamsul Bahrain Ismail previously had described Gojek as a service only for poor people like in Jakarta, Thailand, India and Cambodia. He was later bombarded with thousands of messages from friends in Indonesia who voiced their strong dissatisfaction towards his statement. The taxi boss said he had no intention of demeaning the socio-economic status of Indonesians or Gojek drivers. Datuk Syamsul Bahrain added that in the spirit of goodwill between both countries, he was offering his apologies and wanted to clarify that he never had any intention of saying Indonesians were poor. Last Wednesday, the Cabinet gave the nod for the Indonesian popular motorcycle e-hailing service to operate in Malaysia. Gojek currently has more than 2 million rider partners. The noxious odour that caused 33 primary school pupils to fall ill is believed to be from a sewage treatment plant near SK Taman Pasir Puteh. In a statement, Johor Local Government, Urban Wellbeing and Environment Committee Chairman Tan Cheng Chun said the air parameter readings recorded by the Department of Environment and the Fire and Rescue Department indicate that the air quality in the school area is normal and there was no volatile organic compounds detected. Earlier on Wednesday, 33 primary school pupils had suffered nausea and vomiting after complaining of a noxious odour within the school's premises. All affected pupils were later sent to the nearby Pasir Gudang Health Clinic for treatment. They have since been allowed to return home. Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad admitted the most difficult part about his job in governing the country is managing the sensitivities of the nation's different races. The 94-year-old also emphasized the need to be careful with words and actions in order not to trample on these sensitivities.
Paling susah. Paling susah ialah kerana negara kita ini negara bilang kaum, kita perlu berhati-hati apa kita berkata sesuatu, kita tidak kena sensitiviti kaum-kaum tertentu. Apa yang kita buat, apa yang kita kata tidak menyebabkan perasaan resis ini timbul.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said this in a 4-minute video clip which was uploaded on his social media account in conjunction with the 62nd Merdeka celebration. In the video, the Prime Minister also said that celebrating Merdeka was necessary to remember that Malaysians had won the right to determine their own fate and choose their own leaders. Hence, the younger generation were urged to keep themselves informed about what is happening in Malaysia and also to remember the country's character as a multiracial nation.
Bila kita merdeka, kita boleh tentukan.
Carpenter sent to the gallows for killing lover's brother. This and more home stories after this break. Good to have you still with us. In Terengganu, a 32-year-old carpenter has been sentenced to death by the Kuala Terengganu High Court for killing his girlfriend's brother 3 years ago. Judge Dato Abdul Wahab Muhammad made the decision after finding the accused, Muhammad Hafiz Muhammad, guilty of murder under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Muhammad Hafiz was charged with killing Muhammad Shukri Hussein, 37, a road transport department personnel at the parking lot of Sri Iman State Religious Department Complex in Kuala Terengganu on October 16, 2016. It was earlier reported that the RTD officer from Bengkalan Kubur, Kelantan, died after being stabbed by his sister's lover. The incident happened after the girl's family, including the victim, had gone to the department to confirm the marital status of the accused, who claimed to be a divorcee. A check with the department, however, revealed that the suspect still had a wife. Following that, the suspect suddenly became agitated and attacked the victim with a knife before fleeing in a car. The victim died at the scene with 6 stab wounds, including on the neck and chest area. In Malacca, a former administrative assistant of Tabung Amanah Pendidikan Negeri Malacca, TAPEM, was charged with 146 counts of breach of trust over scholarships totaling more than 2.4 million ringgit. The accused, 31-year-old Muhammad Hanafi Ismail, pleaded not guilty to all the charges. It took the court more than an hour for all the 146 charges to be read before Judge Dato Muhammad Nasir Nordin. Muhammad Hanafi has been charged with committing the offences in Malacca in the year 2017. The offences were allegedly committed in stages between January 23, 2017 and December 21, 2017 at the Tapem Financial Unit in Air Keroh. The prosecution was carried out under the Penal Code, which carries a maximum jail term of 14 years, whipping and fine upon conviction. The accused was allowed bail of 250,000 ringgit for all charges. The court has set October 2nd for remention of the case. In Sarawak, 2 men suspected of being involved in a cheating case were taken into custody after they were confronted by members of the public in MGC Batu Kawah in Kuching, Sarawak on Tuesday. Both suspects, aged 63 and 54, were believed to have cheated a 70-year-old victim of 17,000 ringgit. According to police, both suspects had shown their victim a supposedly winning lottery ticket worth 300,000 ringgit before withdrawing 17,000 ringgit from the victim's account after asking the victim to hand over his ATM card and PIN number to the suspects. The public then confronted the suspects and handed them over to the police. In Perlis, a syndicate smuggling petrol to Thailand through Padang Besar has been crippled after 3 suspects, including a Thai national, were arrested in 2 separate raids. The activities came to light when 2 separate stores in Kampung Melayu, Padang Besar, were raided by officers from the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs on Wednesday. Authorities believe he has been making at least 12 trips a day to collect petrol at 4 petrol stations near the Malaysian-Thai border, amounting to almost 1,000 litres a day. It is also understood that 4,000 litres of petrol and 90 litres of diesel were also seized from both stores. 3 dead after ferry catches fire in the Philippines. Details after this breather. On to the foreign front now. In the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is set to ask Queen Elizabeth II's permission to suspend Parliament from mid-September until mid-October, in a move that would shorten the time available for lawmakers to block a no-deal exit. Johnson said the move is necessary as he plans to outline his new government's legislative agenda during the Queen's speech on October 14th to kick off the new session of Parliament.
We need new legislation. We've got to be bringing forward new and important bills, and that's why we are going to have a Queen's speech, and we're going to do it on October the 14th. And we've got to move ahead now with a new legislative programme.
The move has also sparked a furious reaction from opposition leaders, as they will effectively have only about a week to pass any legislation to prevent a no-deal Brexit. Johnson, however, defended his decision, saying that the MPs would still have ample time to debate Brexit in the run-up to the existing October 31st deadline. According to critics, this will significantly increase the possibility of a no-confidence vote in the government being held next week when MPs return from their summer holidays. Following the move, the pound has gone down almost 1% against both the euro and US dollar, which means £1 sterling is now worth 1.1 euro and 1.22 US dollar, respectively. Over in Mexico, a suspected firebomb attack hit a bar in the state of Veracruz, leaving at least 23 people dead and wounding 13 others. It is reported that 8 of those killed were women and 15 were men. The incident occurred at the Caballo Blanco bar in the east coast port city of Coatzacoalcos in the South Veracruz state. According to local media, several gunmen had fired shots on the bar before setting it ablaze with Molotov cocktails. Veracruz State Governor Quetzalcoatl Garcia suggested that the fire may have been the result of a dispute between gangs. An investigation is underway to determine who started the fire, with police, armed forces and the newly formed National Guard involved in hunting the attackers.